LUMIX are finally expanding their range of compact lenses with this new 40mm f2. This is a full frame lens and it's a very exciting release for S9 users in particular, as this lens is clearly aimed at keeping that system as small and portable as possible. It also works well on larger bodies like the S1R2 that I'm using right now, even if it does look a little funny with the size difference. Now, you might be thinking, a lens so small, there's gotta be some trade-offs, right? Yes, there are some trade-offs to consider, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what they are in this video. I'll be sharing photos I take completely unedited at 100% crop so you can see the true detail, and afterwards the edited version, which I used my Earthy and Amalfi Lightroom preset packs to edit this entire set of images, and I'll leave them linked down below. By the way, this review, as usual, is not sponsored, I'm not getting paid, and I do not keep the gear.
Color of your hair actually stands out so well against like all the green and stuff. And then would you mind crouching there? Is that okay? I love that so much. So pretty.
I was not expecting to be able to capture results like this out of such a small lens. Straight away, what stood out to me is the separation. We're getting this really beautiful, dreamy background to foreground separation where Haley pops nicely in the frame thanks to its fast f2 aperture. The bokeh looks really nice and clean at first glance. It doesn't feel too busy or distracting in the background. And that's something I usually notice pretty quickly with more compact or affordable lenses. They can get a little nervous, especially in more detailed environments like we're shooting in here. But this 40mm does a great job at creating good quality separation that makes it look a bit more high-end.
I'm just moved away a little bit from the trees because I want to get some bokeh in these shots here since we are at f2.
Sharpness is also better than I expected. You've got enough detail on the subject where you can see all the important things you want to see in a portrait like skin, hair, and outfit texture, but it's not overly clinical either. There's like a softness to the overall rendering that I find makes it look quite flattering, especially for portraits. If you prefer that razor sharp look, you can always add a bit of sharpening in post to get those kinds of results, which I've done to some of my edited photos here, so I think it's nice to have that option. I'll also never get over the colors of the S1R2 sensor. They are absolutely stunning. Even though this lens will be more popular to use with the S9, I wanted to shoot on the S1R2 as testing lenses on a high resolution sensor is a great way to really see what all its strengths and weaknesses are. I'll switch over to the S9 eventually during this review as well. This 40mm has 7 aperture blades, and I find the bokeh has a bit, but not too much character. The bokeh starts off fairly round in the center of the frame and gradually turns into a more blob, bell-like shape towards the edges. It has a slight vintage feel to the rendering, which I really like due to the shape and some fringing in the out of focus areas, but it's controlled enough since it's quite clean that it doesn't look too messy or nervous.
Okay, and now I want to try a blurry shot. So this one, I'm just gonna blur it a little bit if you just keep posing like normal. I've got it at 1/15 and f8 for these shots right here. I'm just like nudging the camera a little bit to get some motion blur.
Aside from the bokeh fringing, I did notice some chromatic aberration during very strong backlit shots, and I didn't have any CA during the photo shoot. Speaking of bokeh, if you take a close look, you can see there's a slight texture to the fall off, which you can notice more when you compare it to LUMIX's more expensive lenses, but I don't think it's too distracting, and I think it's acceptable considering the build of this lens. By the way, if you want to learn how to take portraits with natural light the way I do, I have an online workshop with brand new, never seen before footage where I teach you everything I know about getting the best results with natural light, and no other equipment is needed except your camera. I'll leave a link down below for you.
Stop it. I think right here is cool. This is so cool. Okay, I love it. If you want to like hold the skirt up too, would be cool. Yes. Oh, that's so stunning.
I also have lens flare samples to share with you. Sometimes it's quite subtle, but if you are shooting directly backlit, it can be pretty overpowering. There are also some streaky lens flares, as you can see here.
And then I feel like a sitting shot here could be cool as well. Would you mind sitting there? Oh, this is so cool.
This lens is so small. It's half the size of LUMIX's already small f1.8 prime lens series and the same size as the 18 to 40mm when it's in the closed position. This 40mm weighs only 144 grams, and I have to say, it really does pair perfectly with the S9. It makes it look like a complete fixed lens point and shoot street style camera. This lens has an AF to MF switch, a customizable focus ring, and they've even managed to squeeze on a customizable function button. It's also weather resistant, has a 62mm filter thread, which is the same as the 18 to 40mm, and a close focus distance of 30 centimeters. There is no lens hood for it.
We'll do one more walking shot on this camera and then I'll switch cameras. If we could walk just here, I think would be cool that way. And if you could hold the skirt up as well. Actually, let me bump up my ISO and my shutter speed. Okay, when you're ready. Ooh, that's so cool. Yeah, I like that. Ooh.
Now, about that trade-off I mentioned earlier, this lens uses a stepping motor for autofocus, which is generally fine and still widely used across a lot of lenses on the market, but there are some things you need to keep in mind. These tests you're watching are all shot on the S1R2 with autofocus speed and transition settings set to the fastest options to show you the maximum performance of this lens. I will also share some set of images in a moment so you can see the AF performance for stills. I found on both the S1R2 and S9, human AF detection did a fantastic job and was very sticky on the subject the entire time. It was super easy to rely on it throughout the entire photo shoot, and I was able to capture plenty of images with critical focus. But there are two limitations I noticed. First, this lens performs best when working at closer distances, so the close-up and mid-length shots I captured of Hailey are tack sharp with plenty of detail. Then, the further away I get from her for the full body shots, for example, the softer her face appears. Sometimes it looks like focus lands a bit more on her jacket than on her face. The second is with movement. This is where I had the most misfocused photos and where STM lenses tend to fall behind. So now I have some consecutive sets of stills. You'll see the focus ratio is great when we're not moving much, with very fast movement. So with the running shots, I have more out of focus images, and when we were walking instead, I have a few more to choose from that are in focus. While there are some limitations in more demanding situations, the majority of images from the shoot were still very much usable and I had no issues building a strong final set. I'm actually really happy with the final images we captured. At the launch price of $699 AUD or $399 USD, I think the limitations do feel more acceptable, along with the fact that you now have a genuinely compact camera setup with autofocus for the S9.
So I've switched over to the LUMIX S9 as well because I want to get shots on both cameras. This one actually suits the size of the camera. Unlike the S1R2, like you can't even see the lens. That is beautiful. Yeah, I love that moving around.
While this lens will have a lot of focus as a travel lens to use with the S9, I actually also see it as another nifty 50 for LUMIX joining their 50mm f1.8, except this 40 is even smaller, but it's at another easy do-it-all focal length for photographers who are looking to get started on an affordable kit while still being able to capture very capable results. So, what other lenses are there similar to this one? I'm going to list a few full-frame L-mount lenses on the screen here that are in a similar focal range, size, and price range to this 40mm f2. I do have a review of some of these Sigma contemporary lenses, which I'll leave a link down below if you want to watch and learn more about them, and I'll also link some videos where I use these other LUMIX lenses so you can see more images if the comparison images I shared throughout this review weren't enough. While there are similar focal lengths in a compact size available, at the time of making this video, none of them are quite as small and definitely not as lightweight as this 40mm f2 while delivering this level of image quality. For something this small, the results are genuinely impressive.
And then do you want to also sit with both your legs like that too? I'll get a full body shot first. Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh my God, this is literally the shoot of my dreams. Like I love like this whole like look, location, everything. So pretty. And then I'll get like a close up here as well. Maybe you could just kind of like rest it on your cheek. Could be cute. And then we'll do one more like movement shot. Maybe just, well, actually just see where you were sitting looks good. So I'm thinking if you wanted to just like pace a little bit, kind of like in the spot, and I'll follow you.
I'm interested to see where Lumix takes this direction. If they continue expanding this f2 lineup in the same way they did with their f1.8 primes, I personally would love to see something wide to vlog with, like a 20mm f2, and a 60mm f2 for portraits and more compressed shots would be great too. But at the moment, this 40mm f2 helps make the LUMIX S9 feel like a more complete, compact travel camera system.